if I drive the business, which again, people talk about it, drive the business. What does that mean? Sell more? Great. So you made that one sell. How do you keep that customer, right?
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Grow to Scale Your Business. My name is Marina, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Sagi Kratu. Sagi is one of my longest friends and colleagues in the business and in the information security industry. And I wanted to bring him in because he was one of my first ever managers that taught me everything I know about recruiting, training, managing teams, leading by example. And he has so much value to add to anybody who's looking to build their team and keep their team working, which is not trivial these days, considering what is going on in the marketplace. So, hi, Sagi. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Marina. Great to see you again.
So I don't want to disclose how old we are. We're not that old, but we know each other for over 15 years, which is a long time to know each other in any type of industry, especially in the friendship world. And you were one of my first, you weren't the first manager I ever had in the as an employer, but you were one of my first and best. And the longest.
Oh, stop it. Keep it going. Keep it going.
Keep it going. And this is true, which I'm not trying to stroke your ego. I learned so much from you as an employee, but later also when I replaced you in a management position, you still held my hand and taught me how to do a lot of the stuff that I do today naturally. And I would love to hear your take on what was your approach. First of all, why did you even hire me? Like, what was your reason for hiring somebody who is new, green, and never been in this industry? And we'll take from there.
So that's a great question, because when I interview people, I less look at what they know or kind of what kind of baggage they bring, knowledge baggage that they bring with them to an environment. What I look for is hunger. I see this in their eyes. I see their in demeanor. I see this like in the fact, like when they're not sitting very, like comfortable in the chair, always doing like something like this and so on. You see that this person has a lot of force within them. So and the kind of the questions that I'm asking is questions that kind of try to promote thought. So, for example, how would you deal with this type of situation? And this kind of gives me let's say, a keyhole type of view into their mindset and into their ability to resolve problems. When I interviewed you first, it was for a support position, if you remember, and that's what we need to do in a support. There is no I don't know, right? I'll find out and I'll solve the problem. So, are you a solution-oriented person, or are you the person who sees problems? Are you seeing solutions or problems? And that kind of precipitates into a person that sees solutions is a person that sees opportunities, a person that sees challenges and opportunities, right? So, and that's the idea. A person that sees problems probably is going to get stopped and escalate very, very fast, and will not try to handle the different challenges that they get within the support organization, which is a lot on a daily basis. So to kind of come back to what I'm looking for, self-drive, someone who's very, very positive, and even when I ask difficult questions, they find a way to give me an answer, even if it's not comfortable. That's the idea.
So when you hire somebody, it's time to train them, it's time to develop their skill set, their abilities. And as you said, you're not necessarily looking for somebody who has those skill sets in the beginning, but you help them get where you need them to be. What is your approach to doing that? And what is your secret? Because you have a secret method or secret recipe that I didn't see many managers do it. And I've worked as a colleague with a lot of managers where I compare them to you, and they were so so out of your skill set? So what is your secret?
So again, I don't know if it's a secret. I think it's something that comes naturally and it makes sense, at least to me. If you remember, I think the first week or the first few days on the job, I sat with you. I mean, my whole time was with you or any other new employee, introducing the systems and taking calls from customers and kind of have you shadow me for the first couple of days. Whether it's like I said, systems, calls, customers, the different talks that we have during that, how important is a customer? If you remember, my statement is a customer is important because he pays our paycheck. I mean, that's pretty much it. And I said something like a customer isn't always right, which is something that is kind of profoundly used by any service industry. The customer is always right. And I actually don't like that because the customer is not always right, but the customer is always a customer. And that's the emphasis or the focus that we have to understand. The customer is always the customer and he deserves the level of service that a customer deserves. So if I'm in a support industry and my job is to support them and solve their problems or their issues, then this is what I need to do. And I need to do it in the best way, in the shortest time, because the customer's time is expensive for them, right? Time is money and all that, and so on. So that's the idea of the first part, the initial part. And then what we do is switch. So you saw me for 1 or 2 days do what I do, and then I now sit next to you. Well, you take it. Now I understand that you're not going to deal with 50 calls a day. You're going to deal with probably 5 because we do one, analyze how can we do this better. And what I try to do is not emphasize mistakes, because I feel that mistakes are more important than things you do right. Okay? If you remember, I used to say that don't give me good feedback. I have nothing to do with good feedback. I have nothing to learn from that. Tell me what's wrong. Tell me what's not working. And this promotes another thing that really helps me as a manager, which is trust. If the person doesn't trust me, any person, by the way, but the employee specifically doesn't trust me, I can't make any headway because he always thinks I have some sort of a hidden agenda. Or I'm only here to give numbers, like close as many tickets as possible, talk to as many customers as possible. So I'm supposedly treating him as a number and not as a person. And when we talked about the idea, and again, maybe that's, if it's a secret, it's an approach. A lot of people call, oh, I'm a business manager, or I manage the business, or I'm a business leader. Okay? I don't like that combination of words because what do you mean you're leading a business? Okay, what does that mean? Okay, you're leading people. Okay, you're leading people, and the idea is you're first and foremost a leader of people. And by the way, you'll be successful with those people or you'll fail with those people. So that means that you're in the same boat, you're together. Okay, does that make sense?
Totally. You remind me of the good old days. And yeah.
And by the way, just to add to that, if your people are happy, they reflect it on customers. And if the customer is happy, it reflects on the business. It doesn't work the other way around, right? I mean, if I drive the business, which again, people talk about it, drive the business. What does that mean? Sell more? Great. So you made that one sell. How do you keep that customer, right? Who's keeping that customer? It's the employee. If the employee is not happy at the organization he works, his renewal rate is going to be lower than someone who's very happy and can sell his emotions as well, right? If we're talking about selling and stuff like that, you have to believe what you do, I think. So that's my approach.
Yeah, one of the things that I always say to a business owner or a manager in a business is you have to make sure that your people are well trained and well treated, because if you keep your employees happy, it will project. It's not only smiling over the phone, but it projects in their attitude, how they treat their customers, how they treat the business as well. A happy employee will happily do things that are not necessarily part of his job, but if you need them to plug them in for a day or two in some kind of task, they will do it happily because they like where they're at and what they're doing. But on the other side, if they hate what they're doing and they hate the place and the attitude of their managers, they will complain about every single thing, no matter if it's part of their job or it's not part of their job. They will say,
They pretty
well,
much
I'm not
find,
being paid
yeah,
for it.
exactly. Or they find things that are wrong instead of finding things that I can help maybe make better. It's important also to understand that our job as managers is not to make the employee happy. It's important to understand that happiness is an outcome, and because of things you do, it's not the real target of the job. Okay, so when you say if your employees are happy, does that mean that the manager has to do whatever the employee wants? You know, employee comes every 3 months, I want a raise just to be happy and stuff like that. So I do think that there needs to be a balance of being strict, but in a sense that, you know, see how I do things as a manager. For example, if you remember, there were a few times where, like during the shift, people either didn't show up or were sick and so on. And you know, I came in, and I think it was either you or someone else tell me, listen, they didn't show up to the shift, and we realized that they're sick or they had to leave in the middle and so on. And I knew that there weren't any other people who could come in, so I logged in and joined. And you know, at 3 a.m., I answered calls. And the reason I did that is because I cannot expect anyone, especially employees, to do things that I'm not willing to do myself or not able to do myself. So, and by the way, as a manager, that builds a lot of credit with the employee. Said, okay, so if he did this at 3 a.m., why shouldn't I do this as well? Or why shouldn't I do this extra thing and so on? I mean, my manager is with me in the same boat. We're fighting together, quote unquote fighting, right? We're in the trenches together. And like I said before, we'll either lose together or win together. I'd rather win together. That's the approach.
Okay. Leading by example, that's one of the things that are a common theme and very important.
And it's difficult, and it's very, very difficult, because with management positions, ego comes into play. I'm now a manager. I'm not going to sit and do this and so on and so on. So you have to let go of ego. You want to drive people. Driving is I would say you can lead, which means that follow me kind of thing, or you can be from the back and push. Okay, that's probably some of the differences between a boss, a leader, a manager, and so on. Again, there are approaches to this and that. I think that it's a combination. In some cases, you need to kind of project, this is where I want to go, follow me, and I'll show you I'll show you the let's say the Holy Grail, in a sense. Follow me. I believe in this mission or this target, and I'm trying to convince you how to follow me. But in some cases, you see people are struggling. So you have to move to the back of the line and start pushing. Okay, so you have to realize that I call it the ability to transition between the bird's eye view and the tactical view. Okay, so the strategic view, or where we want to go and how we get there and so on. And the tactical view, where each person has a problem or an issue with a specific task or a specific knowledge that is missing and so on. And you have to be there and push them along to be part of the group.